presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Did he get enough to end it? He did! Oh, Billy! Oh, my goodness, on a 1-1 pitch. Hamilton hits just his 4th home run of this season. The most unlikely Red to hit the game-ending home run. Well, that's the way it ended yesterday on Labor Day. Not a bad Monday. And it's a beautiful night for baseball yet again in downtown Cincinnati. Welcome to Great American Ballpark, round 2 of 3 between division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Cincinnati Reds. Hi again, everybody, alongside the Hall of Famer back in the booth with us tonight, Joe Morgan and Chris Welsh. Jim Day along shortly. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Reds Baseball. Billy Hamilton, you've been asked about this young man so many times over the last number of years, and yesterday we got a taste of everything he can do to affect a baseball game.
Well, he has these 3 traits that we look for in a player. He can run, he steals bases, he has 58 stolen bases to lead the league. I mean, he steals bases and they look easy. He gets a great jump, and look how easy it is for him. Now, I don't like the head first slide, but he gets away with it. But when you talk about speed, I mean, I don't think anyone has more speed and acceleration going to second base than Billy Hamilton does. Now, let's take it even further and take another look. This is his defense. Look, I don't care what the defensive metrics say in the baseball. He is the best center fielder in baseball right now. And they can use all these metrics, but the eye test tells me that no one is better defensively at chasing the ball than Billy Hamilton is. So when you think about those things, you realize how good he is. And then when you add the power, especially from the right side, he is always a threat from the right side because he's a natural right-handed hitter. A couple of years ago, they were talking about switching him and just back to a completely right-handed. I don't agree with that. I like him as a switch hitter, and guess what? He's going to continue to get better.
All right, let's shift gears to tonight's game now. And, Chris, you look at the pitching matchup. What a year it has been for Zach Davies. He'll get the ball tonight for Milwaukee. Meanwhile, Robert Stevenson is starting to come around.
Well, he is. And both of these guys are the same age. They're 24 years old. Robert Stevenson, a hard thrower, taken out of high school, up near 100 miles an hour at times in the minor leagues. And Zach Davies is the kind of guy you just overlook because he was never a very hard thrower. Still isn't. He got to the big leagues earlier than Robert Stevenson, but Stevenson, now that he's beginning to get a feel of his breaking pitches, is a guy that is not really showing what he can do, because now, after with that fastball that can still go up around 95 miles an hour, he mixes in the off-speed stuff, and that's why over the last 3 starts he's done such a good job, a 3-0 record.
Well, this Red starting rotation has been very impressive here of late, and Stevenson's been right in the middle of it. More on Game 2 when we come back. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
of fall in the air at the ballpark tonight. Reds and Brewers doing battle. First pitch, we're going to be in the upper 60s. Still some clouds hanging out, but then those clouds clear out. 64 by the 7th inning stretch. We're down to a cool 62 by the final out. Enjoy the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Zach Davies, Robert Stevenson, the matchup tonight. First pitch right around the corner. His very young major league career. It'll be his 7th start tonight and his 21st game overall. Here's a lineup under manager Craig Counsell that he'll be facing, presented by Menards. Eric Sogard back in there at second base. Walker goes over to first. Ryan Braun in left. Travis Shaw, the Washington Courthouse, Ohio native, at third. Santana in right. Vogt the start behind the plate. And a ladder third of Jonathan Villar in center. Orlando Arcia, the shortstop. And 16 game winner Zach Davies on the mound. Take a look at the numbers for Stevenson. That earned run average is rapidly falling.
Well, it got off to a bad start, Stevenson did, but you race the early part of the year, because when these young guys come up and they're getting their feet wet, they're just trying to survive up here. But now that he's had a few starts under his belt, he gets a feel like he's getting into the rhythm a little bit, the timing of being every 5th day, and, you know, his last 4 starts, he's 3-0 with a 2.2 earned run average. So he's making a bid to be a guy that should be a lock perhaps next year in the rotation. If he finishes out September like that, he'd have a pretty good argument.
Well, the way a lot of these guys are throwing right now, they're making a bid to be in that rotation next year. And of course, that's coupled with the veterans the Reds are hoping to have back from the get-go, Bailey and DeSclafani. All right, here we go. Sogard looks at a fastball up and away, says Chad Whitson, our home plate umpire. This game underway. Mike Winters at first is the crew chief. Marty Foster at second. Mike Muchlinski is down at third. Sogard at 284 was so valuable when they first brought him up to the big leagues. Began the year in their minor leagues. And he basically took over at second for VR.
Who took over for Jeanette.
That's exactly right. A lot of moving parts in that Milwaukee infield the last couple of years, especially VR. He went from short to third They brought in Travis Shaw, which allowed him to let Jeanette go because VR went over to second, and now VR's playing a lot of center field. One and two on Sogard. Straight up in the air, and this should be easy. In fair territory for Suarez. So one away in the inning, and now we get a look at Neil Walker. I want to ask you, Joe, you know, a guy that's played second base his whole career. Is that a difficult move at all to first base, even though a lot of people believe first base is not a demanding position, do you think?
Well, I think first base is more demanding than people realize because each infielder throws the ball over there differently. Some might tail, some might sail, and some might sink some of their throws. And you have to be able to handle all of those guys and all the throws. So I don't think it's as easy as people think it is just to say, okay, I'm going to go play first base. And I feel the same way about second base, although they've made it a lot easier because the guys can't slide into you anymore.
1 ball and no strikes. All right, who is the nastiest guy that ever slid into you at second base? I mean, just nasty about it.
You got to have more than one.
All right, top 3 then.
All right, Dave Parker, Bob Watson, and I would say maybe Frank Robinson, who was from my hometown.
Wow.
And the first time I faced him, he tried to knock me into left field. In fact, I got halfway out there.
Knock you back to Oakland.
Yeah, he did. It's so funny because the game started. Before the game started, I came to the Reds. You know, we were playing the Reds. I was with the Astros. Frank Robinson, Vada Pinson, Joe Gaines, all these guys are from Oakland. We all grew up in the same area. They were a little older than I was. And so before the game, we're all talking, you know, about, you know, Oakland, and it's great for me to join them in the big leagues and all that. The very first inning, Frank's on first base, ground ball is short, they flip it to me. I turn and throw. I got rid of it just in time before Frank demolished me. You know, yeah, he didn't care.
Yeah, that's one of your homeboys there. Nice guy there. Pulled foul. And Bob Watson, such a gentle giant. I'm surprised by that one. They're not a sweeter guy in the world than Bob Watson.
There were guys, and there were a couple other guys too, but they were, it was like they were intent on getting them a shortstop or a second baseman to put on their mantle. This is like a scalp to them. They wanted to get me, and they, not just me, but they always tried to get me because I guess they figured that way they let me know that we weren't just friends.
Gone swinging is Walker. Boy, that's a nasty movement, Chris. That's something you were talking about earlier, coming from Stevenson.
It's a breaking ball against Robert Stevenson. When you get 2 strikes on him, expect to see it because he's got a go-to breaking ball against left-handers. He'll mix in a changeup as he does right there. But, you know, for Stevenson, it's about 50% fastballs, and then he's equally split among the other 3 pitches, curveball, slider, and changeup. And because he's throwing all of those pitches for strikes, he's a hard guy to guess with right now.
So now with 2 away, here's Ryan Braun, 1 home run shy of an even 300 in his major league career. He hit number 299 off Homer Bailey here last night, leading off the 7th inning.
You know, Chris, you were talking about pitches. A lot of teams, you know, the Dodgers, the Astros, there are a couple of teams that are going to more off-speed pitches. They're throwing more change-up sliders than they are fastballs. And I watched that, and I'm not sure, you know, it's a good idea if you have veteran pitchers who can pitch like that and throw 2-0 change-ups for strikes or pitch behind in the count. But when you have a lot of young guys, I still say you have to be able to locate the fastball before you ever become a good major league pitcher.
Well, I think most guys, Joe, who can locate that fastball have a repeatable enough delivery that they can learn how to throw a breaking ball and repeat it. Those pitchers that can't locate their fastball are most of the time just trying to throw it too hard.
And just trying to get it near the plate.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Braun. A strike away and out away is Stevenson from a perfect opening inning.
I have to tell you the truth, though, I wasn't, you know, a great hitter. I could do enough to get on base, do whatever.
I think there'd be some people that would argue with you
well,
about that.
but my point is, no, those guys hitting 370 are great hitters. But the point is, I think I would rather see a guy that's going to throw me a lot of changeups and curveballs rather than have a good fastball and locate it. See, Ted Williams once said that the toughest pitch for him to hit was that slider that cut in like a fastball right here, okay? And I still think that's the toughest pitch, but if you're going to throw me changeups and curveballs, I can adjust to that.
Yeah.
You know, all you got to do is wait a little longer. That's the key. And I think that's one of the things that young hitters have to learn. You have to wait on the curveball. Everybody thinks, well, I go get it. No, you wait on the curveball, wait on the off-speed pitches, and if you wait, and as Billy Goodman told me one time, he said, it becomes duck soup for you. Never was, but that's what he told me.
3-2 to Braun. In the air, right field, and it will be a 1-2-3 opening inning for Robert Stevenson. Billy Hamilton to start things against Zach Davies after a perfect first from the Reds right-hander. Presented by Menards. It'll be Hamilton, Cozart, Votto, Duvall, Jeanette, Suarez, a latter third of Schebler, Barnhart, and Stevenson. Zach Davies is not a hard thrower. He's not a big, strong guy like you see virtually every pitcher these days in the major leagues. Yet, take a look at those numbers.
I'm not sure who saw this coming either. He was a 26th round draft pick by the Baltimore Orioles, traded over from the Orioles to the Brewers for Gerardo Parra a couple of years ago as kind of a roster filler. But he's done a lot more than that this year. And what he'll do is he changes speeds on his fastball. He's got a nice little backup two-seam fastball that he throws inside the left-handers, and he gets a lot of ground balls.
Broken bat roller to short, charging hard. Arcia. That's a nice play by the shortstop. And a good pick at the other end by Walker. We look at Milwaukee defensively. They have a lot of moving parts on this team right now to load up their lineup with left-handed batters. So tonight you've got Vogt behind the plate. You move Walker, a left-handed hitter, switch hitter, but over to first base. Sogard in from the left side. Shaw, VR. Brewers beginning play today, a game and a half out of the wild card behind Colorado. They are 3.5 behind the front-running Chicago Cubs in the National League Central Division. Strike one to Cozart.
You know, while we have a break here, I want to say hello to my lovely wife, Teresa. She's back in Danville watching the Reds on TV.
Well, hello, Teresa. Yeah. I mean, back there, she's, you know, yep, still 4:20 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Probably very nice out there. I'm on my way there this weekend.
A little warm.
I heard that.
It's warm back there, but yeah, still nice.
That one rolled foul. Now, you go to all the Raiders games, Joe, when the football season comes around?
Yeah, I used to go there. Al Davis and I became very good friends years and years ago. And I'd go sit in his box. And well, man, one of these days I'm going to tell you some funny stories from sitting in that box.
Well, there's another shattered bat. That's 2 of them. Hamilton, now Kozar.
But yes, I go to all the games now. I sit in the box with his wife, and you know his son owns the team now, runs the team, and he has his own box, but he sits separately.
Well, there's 2 ways to break a bat, Joe. I don't know if you've ever broken a bat when you hit, but you know, one way you can get it out on the end of the bat the way that Billy Hamilton did, and he shattered it at his hands, or you can get it right in on the thumbs like Kozar got that one.
Well, that just shows the movement that you're talking about. Billy, the ball was tailing out toward the end of the bat, and for Kozar, it was tailing in toward the handle. So good pitches so far. Well, let's see what he can do with Joey, though.
312 batter, 34 home runs. First pitch swinging Votto, down a strike.
Now, I made a point the other day about Votto, you know, because he walks so much, he doesn't get to hit a lot of times, you know, which could have added to his home run totals. You know, I always thought the greatest hitter we talk about is Ted Williams. Ted Williams walked over 2,000 times, and therefore he never got 3,000 hits. You know, 3,000 hits was kind of the standard for great hitters. And Joey's going to have the same kind of situation. He's not going to get enough at bats to, you know, get to 3,000 hits because, you know, he walks so much.
So really the key would be to make sure that the guy who's batting behind Joey Votto is somebody you don't want to face.
Well,
so
that's
you
true.
Throw strikes to Votto.
Yeah, that's we always said that was true, but I don't think. I remember we had a conversation like this about Barry Bonds when Barry was at the peak of his game. They said the only guy that could protect Barry Bonds was Barry Bonds. I don't care who else you put back there, they can't protect him. I don't care who you put behind Votto. Other than Votto, they can't protect him. I mean, it's just that simple. Because whomever you put back there is not going to be as good a hitter as Joey is. So in crucial situations, you're always going to want to face that guy.
Although we brought up his name last week, Jeff Kent wasn't a bad guy there for a handful of years behind Barry Bonds. There's a liner into center field and a 2-out single on a 3-2 pitch.
Jeff Kent was a really good guy to hit behind him, and he feasted, and he ended up, you know, winning an MVP. Joey gets his top hand into this. That's why that ball sinks. See how he rolls the top hand over? Watch his left hand, how it comes over. See right there? That's the reason that was a base hit, because it was a line drive. If his hand wouldn't have come over, that ball would have carried all the way to the outfielder. But he gets on top of it. It goes 3/4 of the way out, and then it starts to come down. And that's why he had a base hit on that.
It's a hard thing to do on a pitch up in the zone like that.
Definitely.
Here's Duvall, 31 home runs, 91 runs batted in for Adam. Had a hit for at bat, scored a run for the Reds in that thrilling 5-4 win yesterday. Reds had them up 4-1. Milwaukee tied it with a 4-run 7th inning. And the Reds would win it on the Billy Hamilton home run. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I really am upset because I was on a plane. I didn't see it, you know.
I mean, you know, you just couldn't believe the way Hader had just blown away the first 2 batters in the inning. And you don't think Hamilton's going to hit a home run anyway.
Right. Well, he has more power from the right side. And, you know, I said they were thinking about making him purely a right-handed hitter. I don't agree with that, but he does have more power from that side. I mean, if you look at his statistics, he's hit 10 more home runs 10 home runs batting left-handed, 7 batting right-handed, where he's got like almost 2/3 more at bats from the right side, from the left side. I'm sorry.
Yeah, against right-handed pitcher.
Against right-handed pitcher.
And of course, if you're Josh Hader, you're thinking, last thing I want to do right here is walk Billy Hamilton. So I'm coming in here with a first pitch fastball, challenging him, and surprise, surprise.
And you have to challenge him, because if you end up walking him and then he's going to steal second and then a base hit beats you. That's what speed is supposed to do, and that's what he has. That's the threat of speed.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Votto a very short lead over at first. And that'll end the inning. A hit, a man left. We played 1. We are scoreless. forward, and by and large, it's been the same 8 day in and day out. Duvall, Hamilton, Schebler, Suarez, Cozart, Jeanette, Votto, and Barnhart hanging the signs.
And that is a good lineup, defensively and offensively.
Well, that outfield assist again last night by Billy Hamilton. The top 2 in the National League are in the Cincinnati Reds outfield this season.
And the interesting thing with Duvall, the fact that he leads the league, is that he's throwing guys out at the plate a lot of times. He's saving a lot of runs. Billy saved a run, of course, yesterday, but Duvall, he stops them. They stop guys at third because they know he can throw them out, so he's done a great job.
It's off the end of the bat and over into right center to run it down to Schebler.
So, Joe, is there any surprise that both Duvall and Billy Hamilton were shortstops?
Yeah, that's interesting because one of the points I was going to make later, you know, when you look at Billy Hamilton, the reason I think he's such a great center fielder is the quickness that it requires at shortstop, and he uses that. You know, his first step, boom, he's gone. When you're an infielder, your first step is the most important one when you're playing shortstop, to cut balls off either side. So I think that really helps him when he's in the outfield. That ball hits and he's gone already. So that's why you've seen some others shortstops become center fielders. Robin Yount from Milwaukee to be one, and he won the most valuable player after he moved from shortstop to center field. He also won one as shortstop, so he was an excellent player, but that's why he was able to move. Yeah, I don't think teams have a problem moving guys from short to center. I think they have a problem moving other players to the outfield. I don't think you could put a third baseman there or a first baseman, you know, in the outfield. I'll leave the second baseman alone, you know.
Well, you think back on it, though, when the Reds made that move, it was an extraordinarily good decision when all is said and done. You know, sometimes you experiment around, and a guy might be a good enough athlete, but for whatever reason, maybe he can't track, but you know, all the thing could go on. It has been an excellent decision made by the Reds when they moved Hamilton from the shortstop position in the minor leagues to center field.
Well, it allowed him to get to the big leagues very quickly, too. So, I mean, it really helped Billy, but it's helped the team more because I think his defense is just unbelievable at times.
And that's why when you talk to a lot of people in baseball, and Chris, you've talked about this, Joe, you've talked about this already a little bit tonight. You know, when people start breaking down Hamilton and his on-base percentage is not good enough, and boy, when you add that defense, he's so good.
Yeah, it just takes him right over the top.
That's the second day in a row Santana's looked at strike 3 right down the middle of the plate.
Well, it may look like it's right down the middle, but it came out of the hand looking like it was going to be high out of the zone and kind of dropped into the top end of the zone at the last second.
It definitely looked like it was outside to start with. There it is, it's tailing back, as you said, right there on the corner. A lot of times you don't get that call, though, because it's up.
Well, Stevenson has retired 5 in a row, 2 strikeouts. You know, you look at this Reds pitching. I mean, you know, it's been a pretty good run here now. You go back to when they played the Cubs on the 22nd of August, and they allowed a season-high 13 runs in that game. In the 2 weeks since, the Reds' ERA has been sensational. They've not allowed more than 3 runs in any start since the 23rd of August from their starters.
Right. It's interesting because, you know, I'd heard of Stevenson, you know, a long time ago when he first signed, because he was from my area, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And I was impressed that we took him, you know, early in the draft, and I kind of followed him. And I've always thought he would get here sooner, you know, because of the stuff that he had. But as you said so many times on there, Chris, you have to learn how to pitch. You can't just walk out there and throw 100 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, and win ball games in the big leagues anymore. You could do that at one time. But I think the hitters have adjusted so well over the years. That's why it's no longer a cinch just keeping the ball down and it'll stay in the ballpark, because they've made the adjustment to the low pitches and they lift the ball, get it in the air, and we know what the ball will do once you get it in the air.
Especially in 2017.
Yes.
Now this one will stay in the ballpark. Off the bat of Vogt and back-to-back perfect frames. Joe Morgan with us here tonight. We head to the bottom of the second, no score. Been a pleasure having you here with us the last couple of weeks. You're kind of getting right back into a groove again now, right?
Yes, I am. I feel comfortable with you guys anyway.
Thank you.
Look, I've listened to you so much, I kind of know where you're going sometimes. So, you know, but no, it's been fun. It really has. Yeah.
Well, we were talking in between innings, and Chris, you brought it up, but Joe, you were talking about, you know, Robert Stevenson. I think just watching him, and Chris, you made the point, but Joe, you watch all the games on television if you're not here. It's incredible just the difference in the way this young man's carrying himself on the mound compared to a month and a half ago.
Well, the one thing you have to be able to do in the big leagues is be able to relax and let your talent do the rest. If you are here struggling and you feel intimidated or you feel a lot of pressure, then your talent can't come forward. You've got to be able to relax and just rely on my talent. And I think that's what he's doing now. I think he realizes these guys aren't any better than I thought they were. You know, you come here sometimes with an image of, you know, these guys hitting a lot of home runs, this and that, so you think that I have to be a little better. Well, you really do not if you have the talent and you have the equipment to do that. So you have to be able to relax and just let your talent take over.
Boy, he has looked very, very sharp early on here tonight. Long way to go, obviously, only in the second inning, but a good start for Stevenson.
Yeah, it's funny you say it like that, Joe. I went down to speak with Brent Suter, who's a left-handed pitcher on the Brewers team. He's from Cincinnati, with the Cincinnati Molar, then went to Harvard. And I asked him, what did he learn here in the major leagues that he didn't know he'd have to learn? And that was exactly what he said. You know, I had guys from the big leagues always tell me, hey, whatever you did in AA and AAA, it's good enough. You just stay with the program. Just stay with your protocol, and eventually you're going to get there. Yeah. And he said that's what he did, and it was an immense help to him.
Well, I think hopefully that's what we're seeing from Stevenson, and he'll continue, you know, to relax and let his talent do the talking, as they say.
Oh, and by the way, the Brewers are very excited about the way Suter's throwing the ball. Just came back off the disabled list. They started him the other day in the finale of that game of Washington. He was on a pitch count, threw the ball exceptionally well yet again.
He's another guy that not exactly overpowering.
Took the words right out of my mouth. A lot like Davies, not an overpowering guy by any means. There's another jam shot. This location. He might not be throwing hard, but he's putting where they can't hit it. Can't square it up anyway.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that a hitter breaks the bat, not the pitcher. Well, we talked about that movement that he has. That's the cutter right there. But he's been able to control the first base side of home plate with a pitch that'll come back over the plate and then a pitch that'll dart into the hitter. And the cutter darts in and gets his man and a bat.
It's just so interesting, the little things about baseball. A guy like, how many times have we talked this year about guys don't pitch much inside anymore? Yet here you have a guy 88 miles an hour throwing the ball inside to every batter that comes to the plate, including Suarez on the first pitch there. Going away this time. First ball two.
I had discussions all the time with, you know, a lot of these Hall of Fame pitchers that I'm lucky enough to be around. And that's one of the things they talk about. You know, I'm going to pitch outside, but I'm going to make sure you know I can come inside.
2 out. I mean, you start going around and saying, all right, who are the top guys in the National League so far this year? And you'll close your eyes and you'll say, or in baseball for that matter, you say Greinke and Kershaw and Sale and all of a sudden anybody in that Cleveland rotation. I don't think anybody thinks Zach Davies.
No. I mean, I was a little surprised that he had 16 wins. I knew he was a pretty good pitcher, but I was surprised that he had 16 wins.
Well, we've got a follow-up slab to show you after seeing those guys that he's with.
Okay.
Greinke and Kershaw. It'll be very interesting to you.
Let's see it.
All right, we've already known who the winners are. Now this is how much it costs each team for each one of those wins.
Interesting.
So $2.5 million per win for the Diamondbacks, $2.0 for LA on Kershaw's wins, and $34,000 per win for Zach Davies.
Buy low, sell high, Daddy.
Look at that.
I mean, that's something that teams do at the end of the year. to evaluate how they've done overall. How much did it cost us to win X number of games? I mean, if you've got a huge payroll and you don't win, you can look like you're embarrassed. And those small market teams that don't spend much and they have a good year and they win 95 or 98 games, then that's something to brag about.
Yes, it is. I've always said, you know, the teams with a lot of money, they can just throw things against the wall and whatever sticks works for them. But if you're a small market team, you cannot make mistakes. You have to be able to justify all the money that you're putting into each player. And that's a great example of, you know, what you're talking about.
And that's really, in a lot of ways, while the smaller market team can never be afraid to say goodbye, even to the players sometime, to the fans, or that they might like the most. You know, the Cardinals, nobody in St. Louis wanted to see Albert Pujols walk out the door. Nobody wanted to see that happen. Best player in the game when he left St. Louis. But sometimes you got to be willing to say goodbye.
Definitely. That's the first pitch I think that he's made a mistake on, if you want to call it that. It's still down, but it wasn't inside enough. He wanted it in on Schebler, but he got it, you know, on the big part, a lot of the play.
So the Reds with their second hit. Both have come after the first two were retired in an inning. So here's Barnhart, the number 8 hitter. Tucker's had a solid season. He's been spectacular behind the plate. Getting better as the season goes on. That average now up to 265. Very good on base percentage. Especially for a guy batting in that A spot pretty much all year long. And of course, yesterday he returned to the ball club after being on the paternity list, where Tucker and his wife Sierra welcomed their brand new baby boy Tatum Elliott into this world. And by golly, he had a 2-run double, his first hit as a daddy. And he was fired up when he got out to second base.
Well, I'm sure he dedicated that to his child, so
no doubt
that works. He'll have a copy of that, and one of these days they'll show him. They said, "This is what I did after you were born."
That's right.
It's amazing how much power you can have when you stay up all night trying to get that baby back to sleep.
2-0 to count on Barnhart.
Now, I have to tell you, that looked like a pretty good fastball there. I mean, with movement, may not have been 96 miles an hour, but it had a lot of movement. And I think that's why Tucker took it, because he couldn't do much with it. The ball was moving away.
Throw him a breaking ball here. Runner goes, and in there safely is Schebler. And Scott has his 5th steal of the year.
Yeah, that was kind of a sneak attack, I think, right there, because, you know, overall on the year, Zach Davies has been very difficult to steal on.
Good job, good slide. That's the way I like to see guys slide. There's less chance of injury going in like that.
3 balls and 2 strikes now on Barnhart. But with a base open after the stolen base with 2 outs in the inning, Davies is well aware that's a pitcher standing there in the on deck circle. Not that he's going to throw in the towel on any number 8 hitter.
Yeah, but this is not just any 8th place hitter, and he's been hot. I would think that he would be very careful, try to get him to go to something out of the strike zone. Nope, he said, I'm going right after him with a changeup.
No score, end of 2. The ERA prior to the final days of July was over 6. Well, that's been chopped nearly a run and a half per 9 innings, allowing almost in half home runs allowed per 9 innings, and the Reds' overall team record is 2 over 500. That's saying something when you consider that, you look at the Reds' overall record and where they stand so far this year. Most of the year they've been anywhere from 20 to 25 plus games under 500. But it's really been the last 2.5, 3 weeks where this starting rotation has started to not just get it better, they've started to excel. Romano was 1 out away from his 4th straight quote-unquote quality start. That one looped into left field, and that's the first base runner of the game. But he is a base running threat in VR. He has 23 of them. Castillo's thrown the ball well. We talked about Stevenson. ERA in the 2s over his last 3-4 starts. And Homer Bailey's been very good his last 3 starts.
We may have to call the medics here in a minute.
Holy Moses, you're not lying. That looks like Welsh at dinner.
No wonder I couldn't find any bubble gum out in the store today. He bought it all.
Golly day, I got tired watching him try and chew that. Man. That's like your old teammate Johnny Bench used to blow those big bubbles. Remember that? Yeah. He was on the game of the week every week with Joe Garagiola blowing those things. I think that guy's face might blow up. Is that Keon Broxton? I can't tell who that is down.
He keeps adding more and more bubble gum.
Golly day.
I guess if you're on the bench, extra man, you have to do something to manage your time. I think I could come up with something better, but he's got a handful. He said he's going to put that in.
Runner goes, and it's into right field, and they're going to double up the runner at first base.
One of the things when you're stealing a base, you have to be able to know where the ball is hit. And the easiest way for all you young players out there, when you take off like this and the ball's hit, look at the third baseman. See, he doesn't know where the ball is. The second baseman and the shortstop's going to try to deke you into thinking it's coming to them. Always look at the third baseman, and he will tell you where the ball is. Because he's not involved in the play, he's going to be watching where the ball is. So just look at the third. He'll always tell you where the ball is.
That's a great tip. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, well, I discovered that playing because I was, deked a couple of times early when I was in the minor leagues, and I started to realize, well, I'm going to look at the third baseman because he's not in the play. So why is he going to be trying to deke me? He'll be watching the ball because he's, part of the defense.
Huh. I love it every time you come up here, Joe. I'm taking notes. You know that.
No, but I mean, seriously, I learned these things by trial and error. When I was in the minor leagues, heck, I did the same thing everybody else did. I look around trying to find the ball. Well, you can't find it. Just look at the third baseman, and he will tell you. Huh. And next time you see a runner break, don't look at the ball. Look at the third baseman. He'll be looking directly at the ball, whether it's in left field, center field, or right field. He will let you know where the ball is.
2-2 on Zach Davies with 2 down. Try to get him to chase a 2-2 breaking ball. The count runs full.
That saved me a lot of embarrassment. I'm telling you. I'd take off and they hit the ball, and I really, before that, I didn't know where it was. I'd look over there and I could get back.
Oh, that one got away from Stevenson. That's a 2-out walk to the pitcher.
And this is one thing we were talking about the other day. One of the things young players have to learn is 3 outs in an inning. A lot of times we see young players get 2 outs, and then they think that they've, take a breath. You can't take a breath till you're in the dugout. And in the major leagues, you've seen too many times 2 outs lead to 3 runs or 4 runs. So you have to concentrate to get that 3rd out.
And maybe even keep your concentration more when you're facing the pitcher, because you naturally have a letdown when you're facing the pitcher, assuming that he can't hit.
Right. And that's all that was right there. He got 2 outs. 2 outs, he just relaxed a little bit, and before he knows it, now you got a runner at first base.
I think Davies is over there saying to the first base umpire that should have been called a balk. Stevenson has been called for one already this year. Votto knocks it down. Jeanette will come get it, and they will get the out of Sogard at first base. A hit, a man left. Middle of the third. Still no score. With Chris Welsh, Joe Morgan be checking in with Jeff Piccolo here shortly. Jim Day a little bit under the weather tonight, and certainly hope that he's feeling better as this evening rolls along. He's been here at the ballpark all night. He's got to get him well. You know, yesterday after the ball game, Chris, the Reds brought up 4 young pitchers whom we've seen already this year. And these are 4 guys for both you guys, Joe. Amir Garrett, I mean, the way he started. Rookie Davis was in the rotation when the season began. Reed was pitching out of the bullpen. We saw Jackson Stevens pitch a real nice game. Now they're all back. But trying to figure out where to get him some innings.
Well, I really believe that Amir Garrett can be a stud in this league, and I'll tell you why. First of all, because he's left-handed. You know, and left-handers, if they can control the ball, Chris Welch can tell you that, and move the ball around, they have an advantage.
That ball is hammered to straightaway center field by Stevenson, and off the glove of VR. And Stevenson will pull in with the stand-up double. Assuming they'll score that a double, I would imagine they would. That was a tough play by VR. Although I'm sure he'll tell you he probably should have had it.
There's a lot of those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but he didn't come down with it, and I do believe this should be scored a base hit. I mean, he puts a charge into it, you know, and he's a big guy. And he was playing very shallow. I noticed that before the ball was hit, that he was very shallow. Now he gets there, but he's running at full speed, looking back. And when you start to run full speed on a long distance, what happens is your heels will hit the ground. And that's when the ball dances on you and you don't catch it right in the middle of the glove. You know, normally you stay on your toes, you can catch the ball, but when you run that far, it becomes difficult to stay on your toes.
All right, now Billy Hamilton, and he pushes a bunt to the third base side, and that'll be a sacrifice, getting the runner to third. All right, Joe, before the batter now, I want you to finish that thought on Amir Garrett.
Okay. And like I said, because he's left-handed, I really believe that, you know, that gives him a little advantage. Because left-handers, they can have control. We've always said that left-handers can have less stuff than a right-hander, and they can, you know, be stars. And I really believe that he's a competitor. He was a basketball player and all these. I think that will help him. I just think that, you know, when they sent him down, it really hurt him, and mentally as well as physically, I think it hurt him. And I talked to him before, and you know, it's tough for a guy to work his way to the big leagues, and he was on the roster. He started the first month. He pitched pretty well. And then all of a sudden you're in the minor leagues. I mean, that's tough to handle mentally. You know, you thought, hell, I'm a big leaguer now. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're back on the buses or whatever. That's tough to do. And then to come back and try to pick up where you left off, you can't do it. You see guys that go on the disabled list, when they come off, they can't pick up where they left off, so to speak. And it's because it's difficult to do.
Well, in the case of Garrett, he was sent down when he was really pitching on top of his game.
The best, right. Well, it was about innings, right? Trying to save innings or not. You know.
Well, usually those rookies will give you an opportunity to send them down at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Just wait for it, right? Yeah.
Two and one to count on Cozart. Runner at third with one out. Started two and a breaking ball in there, a strike.
Willie Stargell is turning over in his grave right now. When you throw a curveball up there with a runner at third and less than 2 outs, he says you're always supposed to swing at it because it's already elevated. Get the ball in the air, get the run home.
Short center field. VR coming hard, dives, and he's not going to get it. It falls in ahead. Here comes Cozart to second base. Throw there, and he's safe at second with an RBI double. Reds lead 1-0. That's the best we've seen Cozart run in quite some time.
Well, we've not seen him run full in a long, long time. That's a good indication his leg is feeling better and better. So in two separate plays now, VR gets burned over his head by the pitcher, and Cozart drops one in front of him. He's probably wondering when that defensive coach is going to put him in the right spot.
That's those defensive metrics they talk about, and putting guys in certain positions, you know, in the outfield and working from there. But I'll put it this way. If Billy Hamilton's in center field, those are 2 outs.
I
you know what I mean?
trying to find a diplomatic way to saying that,
No.
Joe. I'm glad you just came out and said it.
Well, that's
Well,
one of my problems when I was on television. I always say what I say what's on my mind. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying, you know, with the defensive metrics and all that stuff, I don't care. The eye test tells me that no one is better in center field than Billy Hamilton. And there's no doubt in my mind that he would have caught both of those balls. And you guys see him every day as well.
That's why it's so hard to believe after watching him every day last year. I mean, it's almost impossible to believe Hamilton did not win a Gold Glove.
It's amazing. I mean, the catches he made against the walls and the alleys, I don't understand it. But I tell you, it's back to those. They have defensive metrics now that they use to gauge a guy's defensive prowess. And look, to me, there's nothing better than the eye test.
He gets to every ball that you think he should, and he gets to a lot of balls where no other man is getting to him.
Correct.
That's right, Billy. We're talking about you up here.
And he loves doing it.
Yes, and he throws like an outfielder. I mean, you know, even though we talked about him being a shortstop at the beginning of his career.
And so many people forget about how hard that is with the mound throwing from center field. Steve Finley, who was one of the great defenders in center field, you know, all the years he played in the big leagues, but he always talked about the challenge of you got to work at it to get it beyond that pitcher's mound, but not too far where the catcher can't get it.
That's why you do not see a lot of people thrown out from center field by the center fielder at home plate.
Hook to the right, short right, and it'll fall. So the pitcher hit the ball harder than anybody else in the inning. And the Reds now have 3 hits in there on the corner.
Well, we talked about the first one where he rolled his top hand. Watch this one. His top hand will not stay there. See, he stays underneath the ball, but he was fooled a little bit, and that's why he hit it out toward the end. But because he has such a good level swing most of the time, you can extend it, and that's how you hit the ball on a line or get a base hit like that. You've got more margin for error. The more level your bat is, the more zone you have to hit. You can hit it close to the plate, in front of the plate, and you can still get enough on it to hit a line drive.
Now Duvall with runners on the corner, still only 1 out. Chop foul.
Well, one of the things that Zach Davies has done this year is rolled up ground balls when he needs them. He's got 18 ground ball double plays. Now, that's not leading the league. 27 leads the league, but, you know, it puts him in the top 10.
Well, maybe that 27 had more guys on base, had more opportunity.
That's a good stat and bad at the same time.
Well, that's what I say about statistics. I'm not trying to, you know, be funny, but, you know, statistics sometimes can be misleading.
Well, he might roll one up here. And that's his 19th to get out of a jam. Well, Joe,
all right,
you're here and then you're gone, as they say.
Yeah, well, I think it's time for Chris to take over.
Oh, gee, Joe, I'm liking you being here.
I got to tell you, you know, I think you ought to consider moving forward a few more innings. All right?
We'll talk about it.
Good seeing you.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
American Ballpark, the Reds have taken the lead now over the Milwaukee Brewers, and we are pleased to have with us now Daniel Hemrick, who is driving the number 21 for Richard Childress Racing. And you've been to Kentucky Speedway before. The Xfinity Series playoffs have started. Excited about that?
Oh, yeah. I'm pumped for us to have an opportunity. We're going to run for a championship, and we're that close to kicking it off at Kentucky. So it's good to be here to promote our upcoming race at the visitmyrtlebeach.com 300. We look forward to it.
I'm glad that you had to say that because we were trying to say the visitmyrtlebeach.com 300, right? It's exciting, and that is coming up later here in September. 12 racers have made it into the playoffs. You're one of those. You're already in, right?
Yeah, that's all you can ask for is an opportunity. And now we're in. We got a shot. We're going to try to make sure we're into the Final Four going into the last race of the year. And if we can get there, we got to get a shot as anybody.
A lot of people know Richard Childress Racing. You had the opportunity to grow up with his grandsons, Austin and Ty Dillon. I bet that was fun down in Kannapolis, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Austin and Ty are two great kids, and to have that relationship with them ultimately made my relationship with my now boss, Richard, that much easier to kind of develop. So it's been cool to see everything come full circle, to be able to call him my boss, and hopefully build a lot of success together.
Now, you're a guy that has been racing basically your whole life. Is this the first time to a Major League ballpark you actually got to deliver the ball out here today?
Yeah, it's my second time. I actually got to actually throw the first pitch out here last year. So yeah, I got to deliver the game ball this time. It was a different experience, something I've been looking forward to, and I was happy to be able to do it here in Cincinnati, and talk about our great Kentucky race coming up.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we hear a lot about the track. You love the track, don't you?
Oh, I love the place. It's so intense. You're so on edge. It's got a new facelift, I guess you could call it, with the repave the last 2 years, and something us drivers are still trying to figure out. So when you have variables like that, that makes the racing that much better.
You finished third in the trucks, and you finished ninth there in the Xfinity. What's the ceiling for you?
It's a matter of just optimizing your day. We're in third there with the truck and had a solid run, and ninth with probably a car capable of that. So we just got to take those two, put them together to try to contend for a win here in the playoffs.
All right, so into September, it is the
Myrtle. .com 300.
See, I knew you couldn't get that right again.
You put me on the spot.
Visit MyrtleBeach.com 300 at the Kentucky Speedway. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Tom, back to you.
All right, Pick, thank you very much. A leadoff walk. Stevenson issues to Walker after the Reds take a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the third inning. And lo and behold, a second straight week. At least we get a little more Joe Morgan tonight.
Yeah, we never get enough Joe. But, you know, Joe, we were talking about the outfield defense, assist, throwing runners out. Before we get through this inning, we got to show you what Billy Hamilton did yesterday. I know you've seen it already. It's worth seeing again and again. And maybe explain why you don't see as many throw them outs from center field.
Okay, I'll preface this by saying, guys, I stayed because Tom and Chris asked me to stay. But one of the things that I wanted to point out about outfield assists, and we talked about the fact that Duvall, you know, is leading the National League, and whatever. Here's Billy Hamilton yesterday. Now watch this. I mean, this is a perfect throw. As you were talking about Finley, you say you have to miss the mound. He was just short of the mound, bounced over, perfect hop right there, and the runner's out. But it is difficult because when the ball hits the mound, it can go in any direction. It can slow up. A lot of things can happen. So that's one of the reasons that center fielders are not able to throw many players out at the plate like Duvall can, because there's no mound between him. And the other reason is, and we're going to show you graphically here in a second, that all the throws from center field are longer throws to all the bases than they are from the corners. They're all shorter throws. And
well, that made a loud sound, did it, coming off the bat of Ryan Braun?
Maybe I shouldn't have stayed. I'm getting him in trouble. He was pitching perfectly until then.
Well, we get a high home view right here, Joe. So let's talk about those distances from outfield spots to bases.
Well, you see where Billy Hamilton is, and you see where Duvall is. Now, Billy Hamilton will charge the ball quicker, and he'll get some throws off. But when Duvall finally catches the ball and throws to the plate, he's throwing from this area right here. So it's a much shorter throw. Now, Billy Hamilton is throwing from out in center field. Look how much longer that throw is. And therefore, it takes obviously a lot longer to get there. It's close to 300 feet. And the fact is, to throw a ball accurately from 300 feet, one hop or two hop to the plate is very difficult. That's why center fielders, not just Billy, but all the center fielders have a tougher time with getting outfield assists at home plate than, say, a left fielder or a right fielder, because they can charge and the throws are going to be much shorter.
2-1 for Travis Shaw, and that's too low.
Well, I got to stay till he gets out of trouble now.
All right, good.
I just wanted to get that Billy Hamilton thing in.
Yeah, I would imagine also, Joe, that aren't more throws by center fielders with those guys on the run, because they always seem to be going one way or the other, either to left, left
straight
or right.
on. Never straight on. You're exactly right. Well, the last thing he needs is to be squeezed.
Yeah, you know, you think you make a good pitch on a 2-0 count, and what an enormous difference that marginal pitch happens when it goes against you or with you, and you're a 2-1 instead of 3-0. I'm assuming he's got the green light here.
4-pitch walk, and they are loaded with none out. Well, our AARP getting to know Robert Stevenson, first round pick, 27th overall in 2011. Martinez, California. Not too far away from you, Joe.
Very close.
Made his major league debut last April.
Well, this is one of those situations where hopefully, you know, Mac is just saying relax. And again, let your ability take over. Don't try to overthrow it. Don't try to be too perfect. Just let your ability take you through this inning.
Really hard, though, for a young pitcher who's grown. I mean, he was a #1 draft pick because he threw hard.
Right.
And he came up through the minor leagues because he threw hard. Now he's finally reaching success at the big leagues because of his off-speed pitches and his command. But it's so easy just to revert back into your former self.
Well, as they say, you know, once you get in trouble, you always want to go back to, you know, who you think you are or who you think you should be. As on the golf course, you swing harder on a par 5 than you should have, you know, you do on a par 4.
Oh, you watch me.
Domingo Santana with the bases loaded. That's a good sign right there. First pitch breaking ball to Santana with the bases loaded.
And hitters say they don't guess.
Well, if you're hitting with the bases loaded, you just walk the guy. I don't know how you could look for anything but dead red. I would have been looking dead red, but I'd have taken that pitch.
Quickly 0-2. Another breaking ball.
Funny how he walked the previous batter on all fastballs, and now he's throwing 2 breaking balls, good ones.
A lot of times, you know, when a pitcher's having trouble throwing strikes, you do that to slow him down because it slows his arm speed down, first of all.
Well, can he put Santana away? 0-2 pitch. Try to get him to chase a fastball up and in.
See, I love that. 2 low breaking balls and then the high fastball. And you know, if that's probably 2 inches lower, he's got to swing at it and you can't catch up with it. So excellent pitch there by Stevenson.
So now does he come back with a breaking ball down and away here to try and finish him off? He did, but he fouled it away.
And that was a good pitch as well. I mean, it was down and away. The guy's 2 strikes protecting him. That's something we don't see a lot of. Usually a lot of guys with 2 strikes and the bases loaded, they're still trying to hit a grand slam.
Now this guy in 450 at bats has struck out 150 times. Stevenson thinking strikeout right here and right now.
That's a pretty healthy 2-strike swing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe this guy just doesn't fall apart in the middle of his waist the way he swings.
I think the guy that I don't understand how he can swing that hard every time is Baez in Chicago. It just doesn't make any sense, but he does. He's protecting pretty well now.
All right, he's doubled up on fastballs here now after getting, you know, he threw an 0-2 fastball up and in, threw a breaking ball down and away that Santana fouled off, and now he's gone back-to-back fastballs up and in.
Chris is the pitcher, so he knows what he wants to do. But
what I'd like to do after that high fastball, you know, you've shown him the fastest speed you have. Now you go down with something off speed, and he's going to have a hard time staying back, especially this guy.
The only trouble is if you miss with it, now you're 3-2. Well, you're 2-2 back.
Yeah, you still have 1 left to mess with.
To play with. Ooh.
That's strike 3 call.
Into the corner.
Hey, it was better than either one of us thought. I wanted him to go back with the high fastball and see if he could catch up with it again.
This is the 2-seamer that has really helped him out because it's got a lot of movement. I mean, look at the grouping, though. Down here, down and away, down and away. I mean.
And even the up and in pitches, those were good pitches.
I mean, he's just staying away from the middle of the zone.
All right, so 1/3 of the way home. They're still loaded. And here's Vogt, who flied out to short right his first time up. Strike 1.
So I still believe when you have the kind of fastball that Stevenson has, that every guy in that lineup can't handle it. There are some guys in the lineups that can handle 95 and above or 95, but every guy in that lineup can't handle it. So I wouldn't be afraid like he just did to go, hey, I'm gonna let it all go right here.
Well, it's nasty there to get ahead 0-2.
You know what I like about Stevenson, though, the last few games shows that fastball's not 95 and 96 like it was earlier in the year. It is 92, but hitters are still behind it. I mean, hitters hit what they see. They don't hit the radar gun.
I was watching the game the other day. I don't know who was pitching, and it seemed like he had a second stage on the fastball. You know what I mean? It's not 95, 96, but it's acting like it is.
Probably Tyler Mahle.
That's exactly who it was.
Yeah, that was Mally's last start, second major league start, where he went 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, and not a single run.
Those sneaky fast guys.
Yeah, it gets halfway to the plate or a little more, and it just kind of jumps at you. As that second stage, and that makes a big difference, like you said, for getting the radar gun, but it's the hitter's got to try to hit it.
Now this is a guy, Vogt, who traditionally has been a tough guy to strike out. 1-2 delivery. 2-2.
Well, if he doesn't strike out, we'll take a ground ball.
Only struck out 30 times in 157 at bats this year over with Oakland. That was before Milwaukee picked him up. How about that? That is a venomous breaking ball right there from Stevenson for a second consecutive strikeout.
Well, you call a changeup a breaking ball, and that's what it is right here. I mean, he sells it like a fastball. Look at that. I mean, it's a split finger action pitch. And it really doesn't matter how you hold it. The whole idea is that you deaden the speed of the ball, but you keep your arm speed looking like a fastball.
Boy, is that a wicked pitch.
Yeah, that one was, I won't say unhittable, because I'm sure Rod Carew and some of those guys could have made contact. But, man, that was a tough pitch.
All right, one more now to go. It's what we talked about with Stevenson the last inning. A third out now. And there's ball one to Jonathan Villar, who singled his first time up.
This guy's a very aggressive hitter, though. I mean, if you give him something down in the zone, chances are he's wheeling the lumber.
But back to what we were talking about and what Tom just mentioned, you have to get the third out. It's great to get those first two, but you have to finish the inning off.
Brewers have them loaded. Reds lead 1-0. 1-0 on Jonathan Villar. Good live fastball down and away from him.
So you can't be afraid to throw your fastball either. Look, you're using the breaking ball and the changeup very well this inning, but you still have to, you know, have confidence enough to let that fastball go, especially if you get behind the count.
All right, now he's ahead 1-2.
Was that a changeup, Chris?
Sure was.
It looked like a changeup, but I wasn't sure because it was up.
One more good one.
Well, think about it. Matt Jenkins went to the mound, and maybe that did help him. Just relax and, you know, let your stuff take over.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bases loaded. Stevenson bringing it to the plate. How about that?
That's a good note for me to leave on.
We're watching this young man grow up right before your very eyes. Joe, great having you, buddy.
My pleasure. See you in a couple of weeks.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Independence KY will win that beautiful new Tundra you see every night here at the ballpark. And you can register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. What an extraordinary final 3 batters in that inning by Stevenson. He goes from allowing a hit, walking a couple of batters, bases loaded, nobody out. And I mean, you're going right through the heart of the order at that point. They had Santana in the 5-hole was coming up, and he strikes out 3 straight to come away shutout intact.
That picks the whole team up when that happens.
Man, was that impressive by Robert Stevenson. Jeanette Suarez Shebler here in the Reds' 4th inning. Reds scored the only run of this game in the 3rd on a run-scoring double by Zach Cozart. Breaking ball that missed outside. 2-2 on Jeanette. Well, it's been great having Joe Morgan with us most of the time Wednesday nights, but because no TV tomorrow, he joined us on this Tuesday. Moving forward, it will be Wednesday night home games. What do we have? 2 more of those, I believe?
I believe we do. It's great having him up here. I can't believe I did not know that little tip about looking at the third base. That is brilliant. A lot of people look at Zach Davies and they wonder how he does it, because he certainly doesn't throw very hard. And if you make a list of those slowest throwers in the National League, and now you eliminate R.A. Dickey because he's a knuckleball pitcher. He's slower than Davies, but Davies is the slowest of them all. Zach Davies, then Gio Gonzalez. He's not a bad pitcher. Ty Block's having a good year. And of course, Mike Leake just recently traded over from St. Louis to Seattle. You know, I've always said that throwing hard will get you signed, but hitting your spots will get big league hitters out.
You know, you look back in retrospect, and always hindsight is 20/20, but that Cardinal Mike Leake marriage just never worked out on any level. That ball is hammered, but well foul. You know, last year Leake did not have a good year. Got the huge free agent contract, did not pitch well at all. Was one of the biggest disappointments in all of Major League Baseball. Now this year he had thrown the ball much better statistically from an ERA standpoint. You know, the Cardinals had not had a very good offense, so he wasn't piling up very many wins. But what I mean is, all of that, when you add it together, it was a very, very, very underwhelming year and a half to spend the kind of money the Cardinals spent on a free agent pitcher. I mean, in hindsight, it's a very poor sign when you consider all the money you invested.
So what do you say then about Seattle taking him on?
Well, I mean, I think Seattle, you know, I mean, they're trying to get into a spot in the playoffs where they're saying, we've got money. We feel like we've got a chance when we look at some of the other teams that are around us. And I think on some level, without saying it to your fans, I think the Cardinals ownership and management is saying 2 things. One, I'm not so sure I like our chances much right now. And number 2, if we can unload some salary in what has not been a good marriage through nearly 2 full years, let's go ahead and cut bait.
Well, Leake has pitched 1 time for the Mariners. It's been a good one. 7 innings of 2-run baseball. So,
you know, there's no doubt he's more than capable.
Right now, the Cardinals 3 back of the Arizona Diamondbacks in the wild card race.
You know, it's funny. Baseball is a funny game. You just never felt when we've seen the Cardinals this year like they were a team that was in the hunt.
I say 3 back of the 2nd spot.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks are in there by 6.5 above. Then you have the Rockies, who are right now leading the 2nd spot. The Brewers are a game and a half back, and then the St. Louis Cardinals. I love the comments that Craig Counsell said the other day after, you know, he was asked about the race and about winning games, and he said, you know, as long as we keep winning, we have the double opportunity. We have 2 races to worry about. One is trying to catch the Cubs, and the other is getting into the wild card.
You see the wild card. Brewers only 1.5 back of Colorado. The Rockies are reeling right now, but can they get it together? Brewers missed a chance yesterday to gain a game on the Cubs in the National League Central. The Cubs were roughed up by Pittsburgh, and there's ball 4, and Davies thought that was strike 3. You saw Counsell in the dugout. He was throwing his hands up in the air, wondering where the pitch before missed. And now he's asking his catcher, or maybe the home plate umpire. He said Chad, so he asked the umpire, where was it? But the big story for the Cubs yesterday, for those of you that missed it, Jake Arrieta had to leave the game with an injury. A leg injury, not an arm injury, but an injury nonetheless. And he has been by far, not by a little bit, he has been by far their best starting pitcher this year.
Well, we showed you the leaderboard of the winners in the National League. We didn't show you the 4th place. That would be Jake Arrieta.
Oh, and 2 the count on Barnhart. Tucker struck out on a changeup, 3-2 changeup, his first time up. One ball, 2 strikes on Barnhart. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Reds 1, Milwaukee nothing. Well, there's been 2 outs and a walk, and this will be the 23rd pitch in this inning by Davies. And he'll tell you he should have been out of the inning about 7 or 8 pitches ago against Schebler.
Well, the Reds are being real patient. I mean, he is just dotting up, you know, those marginal pitches either on the black or right off of it. Reds are trying to make him bring it more into the center of the plate.
And 2 the count. Runner will get started. Schebler struck him out on a breaking ball, and that'll end the inning. 3 strikeouts for Davies. Reds lead 1-0. Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer, Ford, go further. On this beautiful night, we always send a special hello to those watching over at Cincinnati Children's. We hope you're having a great day, and we pray for a better one tomorrow. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Reds baseball. Stay connected. Download MLB.com at bat today. Hello there, ladies. Was little ones enjoying the ball game tonight with Dad, and my oh my, how impressive Robert Stevenson was after loading the bases in the top of the 4th inning with nobody out. He struck out Santana looking, Vogt swinging, VR swinging to end the inning. So he'll face 8, 9, and 1. He can use a quick inning here, facing Arcia, the pitcher Davies, and then the leadoff man Soga. Arcia clubbed that 3-run home run which tied the game off Michael Lorenzen in the 4-run 7th inning here yesterday. He has 14 home runs this year for this slightly built young shortstop. But I tell you, you look at his body, I guarantee in about 2 years from now, if he puts in the work, he'll look a lot different than he does right now, because he's still very young. That ball's hit a long way. How about a Starfire Reds bullpen out there?
Well, he already swings the bat like a big man. I mean, he is all about cutting it loose and not much about trying to hang in there and make contact. It's fooled on a breaking ball. Hey, Stevenson's changeup has really been impressive. We've gotten some really good looks at his, kind of modified split finger grip on that pitch. Looks very similar, really, with the way that Homer Bailey grips his. I know for a long time in the minor leagues, Robert was trying to throw the more conventional circle change. So did Homer Bailey. And for Bailey, just never could get the feel of that circle change. And then when he learned to experiment with the split finger grip a little bit, that's when things really opened up for him.
One delivery. Oh, so here he goes on the pitcher again now. Remember, he walked the pitcher. Wow, how about that? Second time he has walked.
Sometimes, Tom, what happens as a pitcher, and I was always taught to try to pick out a target, the smallest target you can do. Not the catcher's glove, but a spot on the catcher's glove, maybe a grommet down around the thumb. But when you get a pitcher up there, sometimes all you do is tell yourself, hey, just throw strikes right here and you're going to get them out. And when you enlarge your target, you miss, and all of a sudden you've fallen behind, and in his case walked him twice.
Hard hit ball, though. This will be a double play to end the inning. So you walk the pitcher and roll up the double play, and we're off to the bottom of the 5th. The Reds lead 1-0. Text the word Harvey, H-A-R-V-E-Y, to 90999. By doing so, you make a $10 donation that enables the Red Cross to prepare for, respond to, and help those recovering from this disaster. So Robert Stevenson to lead things off here in the bottom of the fifth. The Reds in front of 16-game winners Zach Davies. 1-0. Reds scored on a Stevenson double that bounced off the glove of VR, racing straight back towards the wall. I mean, Stevenson laid into it. It's a second straight start where Stevenson has hit a ball in that exact same place and that hard. The other one was caught. Today he wound up getting a double and scoring a run. This time a tapper down to first, 1 out.
Well, not a bad night though for the pitchers. They've had 4 plate appearances and 3 on bases.
Yes, 1 hit, 2 walks. And I'm being told that has been changed, that scoring decision, to an error. So I beg your pardon. All right, so it's an unearned run then, obviously, against Davies. So that's 1 run and 2 hits, an error, and a man left in that Reds third.
Still a tough error given
That's
on
really
how far
tough.
he had to go for it.
Here's Billy Hamilton, 0 for 1, put down a sacrifice, which helped lead to that run. Stevenson scoring on a ball, then 2 batters after the double that went over VR's head. Little flare into short center by Cozart. VR made a diving attempt at it, could not get it. RBI double for Zach. Reds missed a big chance in that inning though, because the next batter, Votto's, singled, putting runners on the corners, but Davies got Duvall to bounce into a double play to end the inning. That's strikeout number 4 for Zach Davies.
Well, I guess the Brewers are probably saying the same thing, Tom, that they missed a big opportunity as well. Bases loaded and nobody out, and none of them could make contact.
Boy, Zach Cozart going old school with that walk-up music. That's a big league song. Give me some lovin'. Spencer Davis group. That's old school there.
Better believe it.
And then I think the Blues Brothers did a remake of that. Jake and Elwood Blues. There's a fly ball into right, and that'll end the inning. Off to the 6th, 1-0, Reds in front. That ball hit off the bat of Stevenson. That goes to the wall. It scored an error. But after a bunt by Billy Hamilton got him to third, Cozart then dropped one in front of VR. Plating Stevenson for what has been the game's only run. Stevenson worked out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the fourth inning. Got Santana looking. Got Vogt swinging. VR swinging.
Well, this is the part of the order that got it going against him. Starting with Neil Walker, he picked up a walk in that fourth inning to be the first of three that would reach base. Walker still has that, I guess, that little butterfly bandage on his upper lip where he collided with Tucker Barnhart's mask yesterday when Billy Hamilton threw him out at the plate.
That ball is killed down the line. Is it fair or foul? Hooking foul off the bat of Walker. Like to send out a big happy birthday to the Cowboy today.
Really?
Jeff Brantley.
And I'd like to send out a bigger happy birthday to a young lady who has to say goodbye to Sweet 16 because she turned 17 today. My daughter Grace.
Wow. Happy birthday, Gracie.
Been a great day for her, and I wish you a happy birthday, Grace. I love you very much.
Amen to that.
And save some of that birthday cake.
Now, why would she do that?
Well, just out of the goodness of her heart.
Good point there, and she has that. She definitely has that. Can't believe that she is 17. God, time goes by, brother.
You're not kidding.
Man, it goes quick. Remember, she's up here right around 4th or 5th grade. Longer than that.
All the time, sure.
I mean, longer than that. I remember she was coming up here. She was 7 or 8. Fouled back out of play. Then when I saw her and she told me she was driving, I'm like, oh. And now 17. Oh, man.
You'll get there pretty soon, the driving. Did you ask her because you wanted a 15-minute head start? Is that why you asked her if she was driving?
Be a little patient. See if I can catch her on the way back home. Fouled back out of play. Oh, does that kid have 2 baseballs?
Had a good night for him.
Oh, man, that's like his birthday today. I mean, are you kidding me? He is mighty excited down there. Two to Walker. Now Stevenson's pitch count is starting to rise a little bit here. He has walked 4 batters in the game. And he's gone 3 and 2 on Walker. He's zeroing in on 90. He's a big, strong guy. Nothing wrong with that, but that's now 5 walks in the game.
Well, I think 2 of the walks, when you talk about walking the opposing pitcher, those are mental mistakes as much as they are physical mistakes. You kind of get into a bad rut and you don't correct yourself until it's too late. There, I think once the count got even, he started pitching a little more carefully to Walker than he should have. What he has done for the most part tonight is throwing fastballs on the first pitch. And then as he gets deeper into the count, starts using his breaking ball. Slider to right-handers, change-ups to lefties.
So now Ryan Braun, he has a hardest contact of the night against Stevenson. When he hit a line drive into right field, it was a single behind a leadoff walk to Walker. and in front of the walk to Shaw, which loaded the bases in the 4th inning. Double play ball again. Well, if you're going to walk him, you can find a way to get that double play. That's happened now in back-to-back innings. It happened after a 1-out walk to Davies in the 5th, and now a walk in the 6th. Double play from Braun.
Brian Braun gets a little ahead of that pitch right there. It sinks on him, and he tops it into a perfect spot in DP lane.
Now Stevenson goes to work on Shaw. Oh, pulls a string on him first pitch. Fooled Shaw badly.
We talked about how many fastballs that Stevenson had thrown on the first pitch. 18 first pitch fastballs before he finally pulled the string there on Shaw.
One ball and 2 strikes on Shaw. Chicago a 3-2 lead over the Pirates. That game in the 6th inning in Pittsburgh. Cardinals will play later tonight out in San Diego. Swing and a miss. 7 strikeouts for Stevenson. 6 shutout innings.
Yeah, I remember one of my teammates snagging the ball, throwing it in the stands, that whole skit where they, you know, replace the ball sort of thing. But yeah, it was a really memorable moment, and I was full of adrenaline. I was excited. I was motivated, and Yeah, it couldn't have been a better first hit.
Those were the words from Joey Votto in an interview before the game today by Jim Day. And this was the anniversary. His first hit, September the 5th, 2007. 11 seasons ago, 10 years ago. Straight away center field. And Joey not going to show it, but you heard it from him just a moment ago. Obviously a moment he'll never, ever, ever forget.
At that time, Joey Votto was splitting time with Scott Hatteberg.
That's right.
Hatteberg was brought over here. Of course, he was the guy that was featured in Moneyball for being one of the early on-base percentage gurus. And little did we know at that time that Joey Votto would just sprint right by Hatteberg and his on-base percentage numbers and kind of take that whole idea to a new level.
You're not kidding. Uvalde struck out and bounced into a double play. That was with runners on the corners and one out back in the third inning. That's the only scoring inning for either team in this game. I mean, Davies has pitched like he's pretty much pitched all year long. Down to third base. 2 away. Well, here's your chance, fans, to win an ultimate spring training experience in Goodyear, Arizona, sponsored by the Reds Community Fund. 2 lucky winners will enjoy breakfast with the team. You get VIP treatment. I mean, we're talking airfare, hotel accommodations, and more. Raffle tickets on sale right now, and all proceeds benefit the Reds Community Fund. Call 765-7700.
You talked about how Zach Davies is doing what he's been doing all year long, but really what he's been doing all year long has been doing on the road the most. I mean, look at that 8-1 record with a 2.1 earned run average when he gets away from Miller Park. The other numbers are somewhat pedestrian there. Earned run average over 5. One thing to note, when someone has a lot of wins, they're having a good year, no doubt about it. But you can also look at the run support average, and Davies is averaging, over 6 runs a game on his behalf.
That one's into left center field off the wall, off the bat of Scooter Gennett, and he'll pull up with a 2-out double. Yeah, I mean, that's that old adage. It's not always how you pitch, but when you pitch.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was watching Scooter Gennett went down to the batting cage today and hung around during his round in batting practice. And if you pitch him belt high or above, I mean, you are waiting for the crack of the bat. If you provide the elevation for him, he'll provide the sweet spot.
Well, Scooter has been bringing the energy, brought to you by IGS, and today he signed. I mean, you look a year ago at this time with Milwaukee, best season he had ever had was last year. In home runs and RBIs, OPS was in 13. But look at all those numbers, just completely off the charts here in 2017.
Well, of course, the OPS includes on base percentage, and last year the Reds only had 1 hitter in their lineup that had an on base percentage of 340 or above. This year they have 5.
And that one looped into right. That will plate Scooter Gennett. And the Reds have a 2-0 lead, a 2-out rally, a double by Gennett, single by Suarez.
boy, good job right here going with the pitch. You know, yesterday, Eugenio Suarez had 2 line drive outs. I mean, one right at the third baseman, the other right at the left fielder. And he says, you know what, I'm not going to left field anymore. There's no luck out there. That's a little quick two out lightning there.
And here comes Craig Counsell. That may be all for Zach Davies.
Yeah, they don't let him go too deep into a game. I mean, usually 3 times through the order is the max, and that's about where we are right now.
So he gives up 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned run so far anyway. Strikes out 4 and walks only 1 batter. But he will leave trailing 2-0. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Backing up.
Brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, the Reds recalled 4 players today. Rookie Davis, Amir Garrett, Cody Reed, and Jackson Stevens. And guys, Amir Garrett looks to be going into the rotation, Brian Price said today. It looks as though Luis Castillo will get 1 more start, and then Garrett will slide into his spot in the rotation. Would still like to see Reed get some starts, he said. Jackson Stevens and Rookie Davis will probably be mostly out of the bullpen. But Amir Garrett, expect to see him in a couple of weeks right back into this starting rotation, gentlemen.
All right, Pick, thank you very much. It will be exciting to see those guys get a chance to go back in there. I mean, you look at 3 of the 4 opened the year on the major league roster. Amir Garrett and Rookie Davis were in the Reds starting rotation when the season began.
Yeah.
And Cody Reed was pitching out of the bullpen, and the Reds finally gave him a chance to get out there on the mound as a starter. And shortly thereafter, he wound up back in Louisville and has been there the rest of the year. Oliver Drake now takes over on the mound. Reds batting here in the 6th inning. They've scored a run to chase Davies out of the game, who gives up 2 so far.
Drake is one of those pitchers, fastball splitter, and this is a really unusual split right here for Scott Schebler, where he hits much better against left-handers than he does against right-handers, and some managers will discard that, but Craig Counsell went to a right-hander deliberately in this at-bat right here, and it worked for him.
It's a strikeout of Schebler, and the Reds get a run, and we go to the 7th. Davies and the Brewers trail the Reds 2-0.
Round for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. For a complete recap, interviews, and more from the locker room, that's Reds Live, the post-game edition. Well, pregame today on the field, isn't it apropos? Bernie Stowe Field, yes, over on the west side, just off of River Road, and that's the Stowe family. There will be, from the Reds Community Fund, Bernie Stowe Field. There's the three in the middle there was Rick, Mark, and Luke. They, of course, work here at the ballpark, but one of those fields down on River Road will now become the Bernie Stowe Field, just down the road where the Stowe family has been for about 100 years, gentlemen.
Well, I bet you're probably right on the nose, and not longer than that, the Stowe family. I mean, they should have full stock and ownership in Elder High School. All the Panthers that have rolled through there in the Stowe family. Great to see Priscilla today. Saw her before the game. Beautiful lady.
You're not kidding about that.
Beautiful lady. And we're so lucky to still be around Ricky and Mark virtually every day here at the ballpark. 2-0 on Domingo Santana. He was the first of 3 straight strikeouts for Stevenson when the Brewers loaded the bases in the 4th. Holy Moses, does he take a swing. Oh, golly day. And it looks even more vicious when you hit it like this. That one driven all the way on 2 bounces to the wall. I'm sure the rope on Stevenson will not be long in this 2-0 game. He's had some command issues here tonight. He's walked 5. He's pitched beautifully, but he's walked 5. Stevenson has never recorded an out this season in the 7th inning. His last start was a season best 6 innings against the Mets. He allowed 5 hits and 2 runs. Now the left-handed batting Vogt representing the tying run in his 2-0 game in the 7th. Reds have Asher Wojciechowski throwing in their bullpen. Wojo cranking it up down there. He's very nearly, if not already, he had a pitch to hit right there and fouled it back.
Well, he took a better pitch on the first pitch of the at bat, and now you got him talking to himself. That ball actually a little bit inside and maybe up too much for him to do much with. Vogt's he's got short arms and a short swing. Not an easy guy to get in on, but they're going to come right back in there again on him.
One and 2. A pitch in the dirt. Of course, Vogt had a home run taken away in his ballpark by Scott Schebler back at the end of June. That was a great play. Two and 2 on Vogt. Stevenson, pitch number 102 of the night. Hard hit ball straight away center field, and that's up against the wall. They're going to wave the runner around, and Jeanette's throw is not going to be in time. So back-to-back doubles off Stevenson to open up the 7th inning, and it's a 1-run game. And both were stung, and I'm sure his night's over.
Now this ball hit very hard, but you know the respect for Billy Hamilton is such that the runner at second base, Domingo Santana, had to wait right there because he wasn't sure if Hamilton was going to catch it or not. So that's what made this a possibility if they were able to handle that relay and get it in time. He just outran the play, and Brian Price makes his way to the home plate umpire to talk about a double switch. Which by rule is what a manager must do to put a double switch into play. And when you put a double switch into play, you're normally thinking that I'm bringing a pitcher in because he is due up early in the inning, and in this case he's due second up in the inning when the Reds come to bat, and I'm expecting him to pitch maybe another inning.
Stevenson leaves 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 5 walks, and he leaves with a 1-run lead. For Robert Stevenson. Boy, so much to like. Still some growing pains with the 5 walks, but my, oh my.
Well, Stevenson has only had 14 starts in the major leagues. Right. I mean, he's facing a guy tonight in Zach Davies. Although he's the same age, he's had 62 starts coming into this ball game. So, you know, this guy's still green behind the ears. He's getting better and better as we watch him pitch. And yeah, I'll take 6 innings of 1-run baseball out of a starter any day. 5 walks, yeah, he'll improve on that.
All right, a couple of changes. Starting on the mound, Alger Wojciechowski. And part of that double switch, Chris referred to, Kiblahan takes over out in right field for Schebler. Asher falls behind, ball 1 to Jonathan Villar. The numbers out of the bullpen for Wojciechowski by and large have been exceptional. He's taken a few bumps in the road as a starter, but out of the bullpen it's been pretty good.
I don't know if they're asking Jonathan Villar to bunt, but one sure way to get your runner picked off is to bunt right through a pitch that seemingly is right down the middle, because the runner anticipates that ball being put down on the ground. Gets a little bit bigger lead, and that's when he gets out in no man's land. You know, it just didn't look like at all in this at bat that VR's heart was really into that bunt. And now he looks into the steps of the dugout where Craig Counsell steps and or is standing, and Counsell gave him the hit away sign.
Saw the pinch runner out there for the Brewers, Quentin Berry, running for the catcher Vogt.
With 2 strikes.
Yep.
Maybe Counsell is kind of flexing his managerial muscle a little
words
bit.
Right out of my mouth. And you can tell just by his body language. These are the kind of plays he expects his players to execute.
It's because those are the kind of plays that he executed.
He did. And he'll get the job done. Counsell makes him bunt it with 2 strikes. Well, I like that move.
I do too.
I like it a lot. I think you hit the nail right on the head. There's a manager saying, son, I can see from here your heart might not be in it. You better get it done.
Well, I mean, Counsell's trying to win games to get into the playoffs right here. And he knows that there's a lot easier to get a runner in from third base than it is from second base. When you get down in the order right here. I really like it.
Well, he is no nonsense. We've talked a lot about him. He was as a player. He worked in the Brewers front office under Doug Melvin as part of their entire regime. I mean, there were a number of them that were brought in there, and of course Melvin's no longer there. But Counsell was asked to become the field manager 2.5 years ago, and they've improved their win total every year he's been there. They win tonight, they have more wins than they had last year, or their next win will be more wins than they had all of last year.
What they're trying to do here is a possible safety squeeze. If Arcia gets a good enough pitch, he's going to bunt it to first base. And depending on how shallow Suarez decides to play is how far the leadoff runner or the leadoff runner at third can go.
Why looks like he's trying to bunt for a hit.
Yeah, I don't think he understands the difference.
I mean, that ball's right down the middle. Close to it anyway. Close enough where if you are trying to bunt, that's a ball you got to bunt.
Take 2 and then swing at the slider in the dirt.
2-2 to count. Infield in, tying run at third. And he fouls it out of play. Tying run at third, 1 out. 2-2 on Arcia. Try to get him a chase, and he doesn't do it. Got a pinch hitter standing in the on-deck circle, Jesus Aguilar. (3-2) on Arcia. Barely made contact on the breaking ball. Arcia has flied out to right and turned into a double play with a runner in front of him on the move, and then struck out against Stevenson in the 5th. You know, Brian Price, it goes to show you that the decisions managers are forced to make, and it's not sitting here making a debate on whether he made right ones or wrong ones. You know, he lets Homer Bailey go out in the 7th inning yesterday, and Bailey promptly gives up a home run, a couple of hits. Then the next thing you know, the bullpen blows it and the game's tied. Today, he let Stevenson go back out there in the 7th, who's humming right along, and the next thing you know, bang, bang, and it's a 1-run game. Did he go? They appeal. No. That's ball 4.
Well, Tom, I'm a believer that if you condition a pitcher to go 6 innings, that's all you can ever expect them to go. So, you know, and we've seen it in the minor leagues especially, where a guy has 10 starts and he's got 50 innings pitched. And why would you expect him, if he only goes 5 innings per start in the minor leagues, why would you expect him to go 7 in the big leagues? I think Brian Price is just trying to get him over that one more inning hump.
Oh, believe me, I'm just saying those are decisions managers have to make every single night. And sometimes I'm sure if you're Brian, you're sitting there, man, I'm doing it for all the right reasons. And, you know, look what happens.
Plus, he's got a somewhat thin bullpen.
Yeah.
Of guys who you want to put in to a high leverage situation.
Aguilar has been a very good hitter at times this year for this Milwaukee team. He's come up with some big base hits.
This stuns me that they have Eric Thames, left-handed hitter, sitting on the bench. And how bad must he be going in order for them to sit him instead of the sending the right-hander?
Well, one guy's hitting 270, the other one's hitting 230. But you're right, he's a left-handed batter, and Aguilar is not.
In this ballpark.
Yeah.
Thames has just been.
Well, both are huge strikeout hitters now. Aguilar has hit 245 times, and he struck out 81 times. Thames has hit 416 at bats, nearly 150 strikeouts. This guy's had a good year, man, at 246 at bats. He's got 14 bombs and 46 runs batted in. I mean, he has gotten a lot of big hits for this Milwaukee team. And the other thing Aguilar has done by almost fourfold is the number of pinch hit at bats. This guy has 51 pinch hit at bats, 3 home runs, and 10 batted in off the bench. And 2 on Aguilar. 1 out, runners on the corners, tying run at third, lead run at first. Blew him away with a fastball. Second out of the inning. We've talked about Wojciechowski in his relief outing so far this year. This is his 11th relief appearance. He has an earned run average of 1.7.
You know, some guys just are a little bit better when they know they're going to be out there for a short burst. That's one thing. That's one reason why Michael Lorenzen's in the bullpen right now.
And now the batter is Sogard, 0 for 3 in the game. 2 outs, 2 on. Fastball just off the inside corner. Two and 0. Two and 0 the count. Wojciechowski waiting on Sogard to get back in the batter's box. He just took a 2-0 fastball for a strike. Two-one pitch. Runner was off to second base, and that ball off the glove of Barnhart. So now 2 runners are going to be in scoring position. Arcia gets his 13th steal. Now Sogard took a fastball 2-0. Does he get another fastball 3-1? You got Neil Walker next. I would imagine Wojciechowski is coming after Sogard. Nowhere near the strike zone. Boy, Reds pitchers tonight have walked 7 batters, and they've only given up 1 run. That in and of itself is almost impossible in 6 innings, 6+. Showcase your best Billy Hamilton impression and run around the bases Sunday, September the 17th. Reds take on the Pirates. All fans are invited to go first to home during Run the Bases Day, thanks to Entenmann's Little Bites. Purchase your tickets today at Reds.com.
Well, overall in the National League, the Reds pitchers, that is, lead in the number of walks given up. But their bullpen has given up only the 2nd most walks, only behind the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen.
They're loaded for Neil Walker. If you can steal it out that way, you'll take it. But you can also throw one of those into center field. And it doesn't mean it's a bad throw. The runner could block the defender from seeing the ball.
Could just hit you in the back.
Right. First pitch breaking ball in there to Neil Walker. Boy, he's been in a lot of situations like this through the years. This guy's been at the plate for some big moments. He was part of that whole turnaround in Pittsburgh. 0-1 pitch. Another breaking ball, strike 2. And struck him out on high gas to get out of the inning. Wojciechowski, fans 2, gets a final 3 outs of the 7th.
I'll give the cliche answer on that. You gotta go with fast. He sets himself apart from everybody.
Fast. Squirrel. He's kind of like a little squirrel. Fast.
Incredible.
Fast.
I would say just kind of a jokester. You know, he's kind of fun to be around.
Well, that is going inside the mind of the players of the Cincinnati Reds, describing Billy Hamilton. And yeah, he does everything fast, guys. He talks fast, he eats fast, and man, does he run fast. We're going to see that engine here in just a couple of batters.
Yes, we are, Jeff Pecoro. Nice having you with us here down in the Reds dugout tonight. Of course, Pick is your host for Reds Live prior to each and every game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Few changes. Jonathan Broxton, or Keon Broxton. John, he looks a little different than Jonathan. Keon is in center. Manny Pena takes over behind the plate. And Jacob Barnes. There's about a 250-pound difference between Keon Broxton and Jonathan Broxton. That ball hooked into right field. Base hit by Tucker. Yeah, and he lost that gum. Remember we showed you that shot earlier when he was trying to get all that gum in his mouth? He's having a stretch because it hurt his face so much.
Well, his jaw is loose, but his legs aren't.
That's right.
Look at that. Remember those waxed lips you used to be able to buy?
Yeah. He's making his own down there.
We got to try that sometime in the booth.
Count me out. Oh, you mean where the plastic ones?
No.
No. I mean, my jaws hurt just looking at him do
that. Yeah, but he was having a great time.
Here's Kiblahan batting for the first time, 2-0 now with Jacob Barnes on the mat. The numbers on Stevenson: 6+, 4 hits, 1 run earned. He struck out 7. He walked 5. Wojciechowski gets the 3 outs in the 7th. Strikes out 2 and walks 2. Indians are leading their game early on in Chicago, 6-4. You know, we were talking about the Indians and how extraordinarily well they are playing right now. During this 12-game winning streak, their starters in 12 starts, the starters, have allowed 21 runs. Is that pretty good?
Wow.
21 runs. To the count on Kiblahan. The ball gets away and the runner will advance. He might go to third. Well, that's Barnhart out there. Maybe not. The catcher initially couldn't find it.
Well, it hits the ground and then goes straight up in the air. And of course, what everybody normally says when that happens to the catcher's turning around frantically looking for the ball is everybody says, there. And he's like, where? There. So maybe really what you ought to do is what Joe Morgan suggests is look at the third baseman. He's probably looking at the ball.
You're right.
I'm not forgetting that anytime soon.
No. There's ball 4. Start your weekend off with a bang. Reds, the next time they'll be home on a Friday night is September the 15th. They'll take on the Pirates. You can be here as low as $12. We'll have the big fireworks show presented by Toyota. For tickets, visit Reds.com. And here comes Craig Counsell trotting out there on the mound.
Hey, we got another birthday to shout out to, Tom, this time to a longtime Reds fan, Gray Hammond, who is celebrating her 103rd birthday today.
Gosh.
Got a great picture on Twitter with her blowing out some candles at a restaurant. Family all around her.
She looks great. She looks great. Happy birthday indeed, Gray Hammond. Two on, nobody out. Hamilton pulls the bat away. Hamilton had a sacrifice which led to the first Reds run back in the third inning. And
well, the Brewers are playing this defense on this bunt a little bit differently now. They're having a second baseman hold Barnhart on, so he can't get very much of a lead, and the shortstop's coming over to third to cover. And the other complicating thing for the Reds is that you've got the catcher running at second base with a force out at third. So that's why Craig Counsell is playing this so aggressively from a defensive standpoint.
That's a big strikeout.
Well, you see the managerial difference, though, between Counsell. At least I'm not saying one's better than the other, but Counsell did not take that bunt off when he had Jonathan Villar up there with 2 strikes.
Look, I don't think it's too much to ask that your leadoff hitter, who has an on-base percentage in the 200s, to be able to put down a bunt.
Well, I agree.
I mean, I'm not beating up Billy Hamilton, but he would be the first to tell you. In this situation, if you're going to bunt, and you dissect whether you should be bunting or not bunting, I'm not saying that. But if he's a player that is asked to bunt in this situation, that play needs to be executed.
I mean, it certainly makes Brian Price's job a lot easier if he could ask a guy to bunt and get the bunt down.
All right, so here's Cozart. You know, and a lot of times players can pick up a player in front of him. And that's what Cozart will try to do now with 2 on and 1 out. Not sure Zach agreed with that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I mean, that is dotting that corner there. Ariel Hernandez is getting loose in the Reds bullpen. They just brought him back up from the minor leagues, and they're going to put him right into a tough spot. First two reached here in this inning on a single and a walk. Hamilton struck out. And after getting ahead at 1-2 strikes, Cozart has worked the count full. Barnes tying his shoe, bent over on the mound. Reds batting in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead. And that's ball 4 to load him up. Well, you look at here, Barnes has come in. He's walked 2. Wojciechowski got out of a bases loaded jam, but he walked 2 to get into a bases loaded jam. I mean, Counsell's just got to be fuming down there. That pretty much says it all. Grew up in Milwaukee to Counsell. His father used to work for the Brewers, and he played collegiately for his bench coach now at the big league level, Pat Murphy, at Notre Dame. Here's Joey Votto. All the way to the backstop. This will bring in a run. And the Reds now lead 3-1.
Well, what pitchers normally do when they face Joey Votto, amplified because the bases are loaded, which is try a little harder, maybe throw a little harder. And Barnes just cut this one loose right by the catcher. Votto did a good job getting out of the way of that ball.
I think they're going to walk Votto. Yep.
Probably would have happened anyway.
Yep. That's a 3rd walk. And Barnes has faced 5 batters in this inning. Counsell's pacing around like he wants to come get this guy, but it looked like Jared Hughes just got up down there in the bullpen. Another right-hander. They've had a lefty getting loose. Loaded for Duvall. We got a chance to kick the door down here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hardy on a fastball. Oh, and 2. Barnes is the human rain delay out here on the mound. Been unscored upon in 8 of his last 9 outings. That is until tonight.
Well, you like to call this the decision pitch here on a 2-2 count.
They're loaded up. Duvall waiting with the bases loaded and 1 out. In the air, deep left field. Braun will catch it close to the wall. Tagging and scoring is Kiblahan. So a sac fly RBI for Duvall, who just missed touching a ball. But he drives in a run to make it a 3-1 ball game.
The key was getting this run in from third base, and you're right, he was 97 miles an hour, and he just got it a little bit on the end of the bat.
So now Counsell will come get Barnes, and he'll bring in a left-hander to face Scooter Gennett.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, Reds have scored a pair here in the 7th inning to chase Jacob Barnes. Robert Stevenson tonight went to front 6, allowed 1 run. Wei Chung Wang will take over on the mound for Milwaukee. Came in to get an out. His last appearance on Saturday. Retired Adam Lind. And now he'll face Jeanette. This guy was just brought back up from the minor leagues. He was having a sensational year at AAA Colorado Springs. That ain't easy to pitch there.
No, it doesn't. He was in the big leagues last year. Pitched in a dozen or so games for the Brewers. All of them out of the bullpen.
Wei Shun Wong. That ball is drilled into right center field by Jeanette. Goodbye. And that kicks the door down.
And nearly done by Adam Duvall. Definitely done by Jeanette.
I mean, how much does he have to love this right now?
And Craig Counsell's got to be thinking, you know what? Coming into this series, I mentioned it yesterday, it's what people in baseball would call a trap series. Sandwiched in between a really tough series they had against the Washington Nationals and looking ahead to going to Chicago after they finish the day game tomorrow here. But in the meantime, beaten yesterday by Billy Hamilton's walk-off home run and down 6. Here in the bottom of the 7th.
Boy, Jeanette's just got to be on cloud 9. I mean, against a team that, you know, told him goodbye, and, you know, look, every team has made a quote-unquote mistake. They would have never seen this coming from Jeanette. I mean, last year he hit 14 home runs. He's been a good player, but they felt like VR was going to be a better fit at second base this year. That's their decision. No one would have ever predicted that Jeanette would have 24 home runs and 85 runs batted in on the 5th of September. No one. Not even himself.
And was a part-time player for half the year.
That's exact most of the year. You're right. Swing and a miss, and that's all. But oh my, what an inning for the Redlegs. A 5 spot to take 2-1 to 7-1.
street game become a thing of the past? Also, the Reds Hall of Fame candidates and how you can vote, and a history lesson on Reds facial hair then and now. Reds Weekly with me and Doug Flynn tomorrow at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go.
Hey, Pick, are you on like every show on Fox Sports Ohio? You're on that show. You're on Fox Sports Live. And you also have the big football show with Tony Pike.
You know, Tom, if I made the money that you made for doing this, I
why
wouldn't
does it have to
do
go there?
all these
Why do
games.
we have to go there?
No, Tom, I'm a workaholic. I cannot stand being at home alone. I've got to go out working.
Well, we know you, and you're awesome. I can't wait to see the big football show this week.
That'll be fun.
Got to be talking about, high school.
Your Buckeyes.
They'll be ready to roll. Ariel Hernandez is back in the big leagues for the Redlegs. He made one appearance since his Friday, September call-up in the 8th inning Sunday. He struck out the side. He's in his 4th stint with the Reds this year. Was here for 2 days in April. Made one appearance, his major league debut. And then at the end of June, made 5 appearances. There's some things to like with this young man's stuff. I know you were talking about him, Chris, in spring training a little bit. Then when we saw him in his major league debut. Breaking ball that stayed up and in on Braun.
His debut there against the Cardinals, I think, on the road in St. Louis.
Well, Brian Price was set to bring this young man into a 2-1 game. I mean, he was a guy warming up, and he was coming in. They never got to the spot in the batting order to make it official. That would have been the next batter after Suarez, who struck out to end the 5-run inning. The Pirates rally to beat Chicago 4-3. This could be a second straight night where the Pirates beat Chicago, yet the Reds defeat Milwaukee, if they can get the final 6 outs.
And if you're wondering, the Cardinals are getting underway out in San Diego just about now.
The second hottest team in baseball is Arizona. They're set to get started here shortly. They've been wearing everybody out, including the Dodgers. They'll play them again tonight. Dodgers have hit their first bump in the road all year long. They've been kicked around a little bit inside their division here over the last 2 weeks. Now, they still have the best record in the league, but Washington's trying to make a run at them. And that's foul forward by Hernandez. Going into play tonight, the Dodgers have won 92 games. The Nationals still at 83, but we've got almost a full month left. The Dodgers have lost 9 out of 10 and lost 4 in a row. They're the only other team besides the Dodgers and the Nationals with 80 or more wins is that team we were just talking about, Arizona, trying to win their 12th straight game tonight. Well, this is what you can't have, even with a 6-run lead. Ball 1 to Shaw. Runner goes. And Braun easily in there with a stolen base, even with his team down 6 here in the 8th inning.
Yeah, for a guy that spent so much time on the disabled list this year with a calf injury. Running pretty good, but you know, If they're going to give it to you, why don't you take it?
Well, Braun's always been one of those guys when healthy enough to run. He can steal you some bases. He's a good athlete. That ball is in the air to deep right center field, and now all of a sudden 7-1 turns into 7-3 after 2 batters in the Milwaukee 8th against Hernandez. Shaw, number 28. Well, he's got a smooth swing, doesn't he?
Well, he really gets his legs into his swing. Watch his legs and lower half really go for that.
And Hernandez showing his disgust out there on the mound. That's not going to win him any points with a home plate umpire. And here in the 8th inning, Rizelli Iglesias is now forced to get up and start throwing in the Reds bullpen. He was a winning pitcher.
4-run lead.
Yep. Well, look, you know, the starting rotation has gotten a lot better as the year has gone on, especially here over the last couple of weeks. And I know the bullpen's ERA has been, you know, significantly better over the last couple of weeks, but over the long haul, after an excellent start early in this season, it has been a rough go for this Reds bullpen. And now Hernandez has gone walk, homer, walk with a 6-run lead. Now a 4-run lead.
And Mac Jenkins will come out for another visit.
I remember now, there was a game earlier, actually last month now that we're in September. And I know you were there, you were doing that game. Reds led this Milwaukee team 10-2. And the next thing you know, it was 10-9. The Reds ended up winning that game. They got a run. Milwaukee got one more. It was an 11-10 final. But this Milwaukee team, with all the thunder up and down this lineup and all the home runs they hit, in their ballpark, this ballpark, good hitters' ballparks, it can get away from you. Thames will now come up to bat. First time we've seen him tonight. He has 10 home runs against the Reds this year. There is nobody out in the 8th inning. Oh boy.
Well, Iglesias is just about ready.
Three and one to Thames. Look out here. Walk, homer, walk, walk. Reds pitchers tonight, 9 have walked 12 batters, and they've given up 3 runs. And there's still nobody out in the 8th inning. His bullpen was an area of strength early in the year, but now Brian Price is having to go to his closer in the 8th inning. An inning which started with a 7-1 lead. So we will take a break. Back with more in a moment. Great American Ballpark, and thanks to John Morrell, the first 20,000 fans through the gates get a triple bobblehead featuring Reds first baseman past and present Tony Perez, Sean Casey, Joey Votto. For tickets, log on to Reds.com. Ariel Hernandez comes into the game, does not record a single out, faces 4 batters, and now the Reds turn to their closer, Raisel Iglesias, with 2 on and 2 in.
He was in the game yesterday, had a pretty tidy inning, a couple of strikeouts in a 15-pitch inning for Iglesias. 3 days of rest before that, so he should have plenty in his arm to get him through this 8th inning and then the 9th.
And it is a save situation for Iglesias. The tying run is in the on-deck circle. In there, a strike.
Peña's a good fastball hitter, but I think he has seen his last in this at bat.
That ball tomahawked into left field, and Duvall got a good jump on that ball. 1 out. Peña made good contact with that pitch.
Yeah, he may have gotten away with one right there, Iglesias.
Arcia saw 9 pitches his last plate appearance, which wound up being a walk. That was the most pitches he has ever seen in a single trip to the plate in his young career. That's hard to believe. Rocket. Oh, man. If Peraza looks at shortstop, maybe. Maybe. First base, no way.
Garcia hits it right on the button. There are 2 batters and 2 line drives off of Iglesias. I don't think they get either runner right there. Santana was quickly back to second base.
Two rockets off the bat of Pena and Arcia against Iglesias. Those are rare indeed. So now Phillips comes off the bench and he will bat. Big swing and a miss. Brett Phillips, 18 games, 11 starts. Brought back up on Friday from AAA, where he had 19 home runs and 78 batted in. His 4th stint with the Brew Crew this year. High fastball at 96 miles per hour, and Phillips comes up empty. 2-2. Three balls, 2 strikes. The runners get started with 2 outs here in the 8th. 4-run game. Reds in front. Full foul. We'll talk it over and make sure exactly what it is they want to do here. Got like 3 called, and that's all. So Iglesias retires 3 in a row. Light. Robert Stevenson, bases loaded, nobody out in the 4th inning. Struck out Santiago, looking, Santana looking, both swinging. And then got VR swinging to get out of the inning unscathed. He wound up going 6+ tonight. 4 hits, 1 run.
That was one really impressive inning on the part of Robert Stevenson. Although ever since we started calling him Bob, he really turned it up a little bit.
That's right. Phillips now takes over in center field. Thames is at first. Walker goes over to second. And now taking over on the mound is a right-hander, Carlos Torres. The last 2 pitchers out of the Milwaukee bullpen have been dreadful. There's a base hit into left field by Peraza, his first time to the plate. Reds batting here in the bottom of the 8th with a 4-run lead, trying to make it back-to-back wins against a team that's right in the hunt for the divisional lead. 3.5 back. Cubs have already lost tonight, and only a game and a half behind Colorado for that second wild card spot. Both managers just have to be saying to themselves, looking at these last inning and a half, starting with, Wojciechowski got out of the inning as Peraza steals second base, but he entered the game with 1 on. He got an out for the first out, walked a batter, struck out a batter, walked another batter to load the bases, and got out of the inning. Now you fast forward to the bottom of the 7th inning. Barnes allows a hit, a walk. There's 2 on when he gets an out. He walks 2 more batters, along with a wild pitch that brought in a runner. And then Ariel Hernandez comes in the game for the Reds. Walk, homer, walk, walk. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 walks in the last inning and a half. And only 1 intentional.
The game seems so tidy.
Oh dear. Broken bat. 1 away. Hope Tucker's all right. He was already looking down at his hands. Talking about Jeff McCorrow getting you ready for Reds action along with Brian Giesenslaw 30 minutes before the start of every game. We call it Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. No TV tomorrow. And we will have, I believe, every trip on this upcoming, every game of the upcoming road trip on television, except for Sunday. So, Fox Sports Ohio Reds Live gets underway 6:30 Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. No television on Sunday. And the Reds go from there to Milwaukee. No, St. Louis. I'm sorry, St. Louis for a 3-game series.
Milwaukee at the very end of the year, as the Reds will finish on the road. First Milwaukee and then Chicago.
That's right. In fact, the upcoming road trip will be 4 in New York, 3 in St. Louis next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Base hit right field by Kiblahan.
That's a good looking swing.
Tell you, he's been a nice addition to the Reds team this year. He has been a very nice player for this team. I would imagine he'll be, right in line for a guy that they will give a long, hard look at bringing back next year.
Well, he's very versatile. He can play a lot of different positions in and around the infield and outfield. He's shown some power. And it just seems like, for a guy that didn't play baseball at all in college, the more he plays, the more baseball player-like he looks.
He played football, and then it wasn't until his last year of eligibility that he used it to play baseball, and he wound up being the Big East Player of the Year. Only 1 year.
Yeah. Well, he kept asking the football coach every year, can I play baseball in the spring? And he said, no, you're on a football scholarship. We want you out there spring practice, lifting weights and doing what you do in the spring.
Right now, Billy Hamilton. He put down a sacrifice in the third. He failed to get down a sacrifice in the seventh. And this time, suicide squeeze all the way. And I mean, puts it down to perfection. So he couldn't do it the last time, but you can't do it any better than that this time. Good for Billy Hamilton. That is just perfectly done.
Well, you see that Peraza executes it perfectly as a runner, too. He waits until he sees that ball down on the first base line. We're going to get a good look right here. He's kind of coming off the bag, and he sees it going to the first baseman. As soon as it does that, you keep on coming to home. Third baseman not really close to the bag to hold Peraza, so he scampers home with a run right there, and the Reds are back to 5-run lead.
Yeah, I stand corrected. I said suicide squeeze. That was a safety squeeze. Got that ball down on the ground.
Splitting hairs, really.
Well, no, it's a big difference. Big difference.
Safety suicide squeeze. We'll meet you halfway on it.
No. I mean,
well, you never want to meet halfway.
Well, because I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, that I'm half wrong. I'm all the way wrong. Jesse. I said suicide squeeze, and it was a safety squeeze. And
mark it down, 10:26 on 9:05:17. He admitted
the
he was
year of
wrong.
our Lord. Ground ball pulled foul.
Of course, you probably admit that you're wrong daily at your house.
Oh.
So
I can't remember the last time I was right at my house.
You just have never brought it to work with you.
Just can't. Well, that's the reason why. I mean, you get kicked around enough, and you got to stand your ground. Oh, and 2 to Kozak. That's nice to see Hamilton getting that done, though, right there, because, you know, we had pointed out in the 7th inning when he was asked to put down a bunt that should be something that Billy Hamilton is able to execute and move a runner along. He wound up striking out in that at bat. And that time around, he's asked to bunt, and for the second time in 3 tries, perfectly done. Producer of Reds Baseball tonight, Mr. Brian Hunterman. Our director is Roy Alfers. Associate producers Matt Sigafus and Jim Mueller. Our Reds Live producer Kent Weaver, aided by Ronnie Millinor. Around the horn, coordinating producer Bob Pennell, our executive producer Tom Farmer. Good to have Jeff Pecoro, part of the in-game telecast tonight. Hopefully Jim Day is feeling better tomorrow. It's a travel day for the Reds. So although he won't be working, he will be coming to the ballpark, and the Reds are going to add to the lead. It's a base hit into center, scoring Kiblahan, and that makes it 9-3 Redlegs. So they answer the 2 runs from the Brewers at the top of the inning. Cozart's second RBI tonight.
Well, that's a good pitch. Cozart went down to get there, down right on the knees or even below.
All right, now let me ask you a question. Now you've opened a 6-run lead again here, right? You might get more than that before it's all said and done. The Reds will play from now until Monday before they have another off day. It's not like Iglesias has been overworked this year, but he is in line right now. It doesn't matter if the Reds score 100 runs in this inning. He can get a save in this game. Do you leave him in there to get the final 3 outs? Those are decisions a manager has to make. It's fouled out of play, third base side. You know, what happens if he goes out there and has a 25, 28 pitch inning?
Well, you know, Tom, I think a manager has a different perspective as to whether his team is in a pennant race versus a team that is out of it, like the Reds. And when you're out of it, you're taking care of your players a little bit more. When you're in a pennant race, you're taking care of your whole team. At least that's the way I would suspect that Brian Price is looking at it, and that's why they'll probably send Iglesias back out there.
Well, he had batting gloves on like he wanted to hit.
Your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And oh, we've got a big story for you tonight. Tom mentioned it early. The Indians on a roll. How about Jose Ramirez? This is in the first inning off former Red David Holmberg. That was his 24th of the year. We're going to have a repeat. Nope, not a replay. A repeat in the second inning. He goes deep again. That's 25. The Indians going for their 13th straight win. The franchise record is 14 guys. They're up 6-4.
Still got a little ways to go in that one. Thanks, Pick. Tribe rolling. What a player Jose Ramirez has become.
Really under the radar, one of the best players in the league.
No doubt about it.
And the Indians must have known something because they signed him to a long, like 4-year deal, didn't they?
Really, after only 1 year.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he really took off last season. And what a season he's having. What a team. And what a season the Indians are having. There's a fly ball down the right field line. Kiblahan with room. He's got the baseball, and that's out number 1. Ramirez is batting .310, 4th best in the league. Among the top 10 in many, many categories. 4th most runs scored, 5th most hits. He has the 2nd most total bases in the American League behind Jose Altuve. That's having a year now. Tell you, he's going to be in the hunt for that MVP award. I mean, everybody was talking about Aaron Judge this and Aaron Judge that. Yeah. I mean, he has really cooled off. And obviously the strikeouts have just gone through the roof. It's just obscene, the amount of strikeouts. And you know, all of a sudden you start looking all around. Altuve's name is there and Ramirez's name is there in virtually every offensive category. Low into the count on Neil Walker. Ball up. Iglesias trying to pick up save number 25 here tonight. Reds are now 2 outs away from back-to-back wins in this series against the Brewers, who came in on a really good roll. And Chris brought it up last night. Called it a trap series for this Milwaukee team. They played so beautifully against the Dodgers, played great baseball, winning 3 or 4 over the Washington Nationals before they came here to Cincinnati. And they know they have the Cubbies this coming weekend at Wrigley Field. Second strikeout for Iglesias, and the Brewers down to their final out of the night.
Good old-fashioned four-seam fastball.
Mr. Welsh, you have a good trip to New York, and I will see you in St. Louis next week.
Thank you, Tom. You start your football schedule heading out to the West Coast, I believe, this weekend. So good luck to you.
Thank you. 0-2 on Ryan Braun. Thank all of you at home for joining us here tonight. And this ought to do it. Peraza to the glove side. Reds win for a second straight night over the Milwaukee Brewers. They will go for a clean sweep tomorrow. 9-3. Reds over the Brewers. Robert Stevenson goes to 4-4. Davey slips to 16-8. And Marcel Iglesias, save number 25. Scooter Gennett with a big blow in the 5-run 7th, a 3-run home run. We're back with more in a moment.